Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please subs- leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you don't like the content, please leave a comment saying where it has gone wrong. So today is the next part in the Caracal build. So I am going to be doing another theory build on the best possible assault build for this vessel. Now, I am going to be doing this, and then later today, there's going to be something with a little bit more of a gameplay aspect. I'm actually going to be taking myself into Super Soft Drink. I'm going to be recording part 1, the final fight against the 3 elites, and I'm going to be recording part 2 for however long I can. Now, the catch with these two battles are they are long format battles and they take about an hour and a half altogether to do them. However, the first part only takes me about 30 minutes to complete. The second part takes me about an hour to complete. That's just because of the number of elites in part 2. But right now we are going to be doing the theoretical damage build, and you are going to see how the tank build doesn't fare very well in all combat situations. I'm about to go into that mission, and once I am in that mission and on the last wave, you are going to see exactly where a tank build fails. And using things like this here, playing the story missions, you can actually analyze and build better vessels. It also helps you think which types of vessels will and won't work, especially if you take it into example for patriotism. You know how bad being disrupted can be, especially with there being only 3 ships that can actually disrupt you. If you end up playing that mission and let's say your omen issue vessel gets jammed, you can find out exactly how effective your armor tank is, because you will find out exactly how long they can hold you in warp disruption. And with 3 or 4 of them closing in range, that warp disruption may last for quite a while. So let's get into this for the build for this Navy Caracal issue. Now, last video I did the shield tank build. Now, the shield tank build is one of my favorite builds. I use it myself personally. However, I am going to make a slight modification because I didn't understand that the Higgs anchor actually increases your velocity by 55% as a level 2. As a level 2, there is a greater bonus than the velocity increase from the accelerator. So I am now going to be favoring the Higgs accelerator, the Higgs anchor over the accelerator in future builds. Now I only noticed it yesterday. I didn't really notice the velocity. I knew that it sped up the inertia. It was part of my assault build originally, but I never realized that there was a velocity aspect to it. So after today's build on the assault vessel, things are going to change in how I describe those small little rigs. Now, getting into that engineering navigation rig, this is for a pure assault build. Now, an assault build can give you immediate flight velocity, but that's not exactly where you want it. You want it in a little bit more of a wider range on this vessel. Now, there are two catches with the vessel. Number one, because of missile launches having higher damage in the closer range, to build a pure attack vessel, you would have to actually drop your range, and as a result you're going to have to use a shield booster. Now there is other catches to this whole build, however I'm just going to stick at these two for the moment. And you have the option between multiple weapons. I'll get into that as I get into the weapons, but the beautiful part about this whole build is you can change it around by choosing the right rigs. Now if I choose the Higgs anchor to start me off, I am now gaining 55% velocity and 75% inertial adjustment. Now, this inertial adjustment is really helping me massively on my ship. It makes me turn and move super quick. It means I can now afford something like being disrupted for a few seconds because I can turn my radius and most probably escape anybody who's firing on me. The next thing to note about this is, let me just see if I can purchase one. Now, these are only found in anomalies like Inquisitors and Scouts. And I know for a fact that they're only in Inquisitors and Scouts. Okay, 1 second. As you can see, I'm just purchasing them in case they go up in price. Okay, so As you saw, I just purchased two. Now, one of these is going for another build. That is going to pitch up at a different time on this channel. And that is going to be something that I've been working on in the quiet. Now, considering everything with this whole section, let's see if 3 is available. Now, all of this is found in Inquisitors, Scouts, and Dead Space. And these are found in the higher level sectors to be a lot more dominant at level 2 between the level 6 and level 8 Inquisitors. And when you go above level 9 and 10, that's when you find level 3 and level 4. Now, in level 7, you do stand a chance of finding level 3 equipment. In level 8, you do stand a chance of finding level 3 equipment. But level 9 and level 10, you stand a chance of getting level 3 or level 4 fittings. Now, I don't know if the level 4 which have been popping out of level 10 Dead Space is meant to be there, but it could be a possible glitch in the game where it started now instead of starting in the next 2 or 3 months when they open out T10 for us. So, now looking at all of this, increasing your speed with the Higgs anchor gives you 55% velocity. It's way more than the accelerator. Plus, you've got the inertial stabilization that is now helping you turn faster. So your ship is a far better maneuverable. It has far better maneuverability. The next thing for you to consider in this entire build is what am I going to do for the rest of the build? Now, there are two options. If you are using this assault ship in PvP, you can include yourself with a warp core optimizer. Now, the only reason for the warp core optimizer is to help you get away with a little bit more of a disruption situation. So, if someone disrupts you 4 or 5 times, using this is going to improve your speed a lot. Now, it isn't the best option. It isn't the option I'd say that is number one. I'd rate it as number 2 or number 3 on my list of options for flying away or getting away from combat. Now, moving on with this whole build, the next part of your engineering rig, because you only have two options, is either going to be that warp core optimizer, as you can see here. Let me just open it. As you can see, it minuses 2 jamming strength. And as you go up, they increase the number of jamming strength that they have. Now, that can help you get away from combat very fast. But the biggest problem with it is you are in a tech build. If you can't beat them, you most likely are going to be defeated, and trying to warp away isn't really going to help you. So, what are your options in terms of this situation? You can go and opt for an engineering rig to improve your capacitor on your ship. Remember, a lot of the fittings for your ship are going to be heavy on draining you for getting your extra damage, your extra speed in fire. Now, your low slots on the ship, there are going to be 4 of them, like all builds. However, these are going to go straight to the weapon upgrades, and we're going to start there. Right, standard on this build is going to be an Afterburner because you know that ships can escape you, and you have 55% additional acceleration to start with. Plus, you can turn faster and you can hit harder. And that's going to help you with any ship that is a little bit tricky to catch, and the smaller ships are going to have a bigger problem against you. So let's go into the weapon upgrades. Okay, go straight down to Ballistic Control, and this is your first ornament to add to your ship. Now, straight off, it gives you plus 5% damage, so that's a massive boost. It consumes 171 gigajoules, so engineering on your ship has to be quite high to stabilize it out. And going down, when activated, it has a time adjustment of 400%. Now, what this means is you fire faster for this period, and it also improves the damage by 4%. So you go up by quite a bit in damage. So if you had 100% on your vessel, 100 damage on your vessel in any one slot, which is how the missiles generally work, when you activate this, you now have an additional 9 damage. Now that's on 100 theoretically, but your damage numbers are going to be much higher. Example, on my ship, I have 132 damage on my long range missiles. So that's how it works, and that's how it's going to increase it. The time adjustment when activated by 400% is actually going to help you with firing even quicker. So if you were firing one shot every second, your time adjustment is now going to mean, sorry, if you were firing one shot every 4 seconds, the time adjustment is now going to kick you in to fire one shot every second, 4 times faster. So one shot every second means you're going to do a tremendous amount of damage, and this will last for 20 seconds. Now, the higher your upgrade damage on your weapons, the higher this figure goes. So if you have completed all of your missiles, that is small, medium, and large, you will have a much larger activation time. It might go up from 20 seconds to 30 or 40 seconds, and then you have to stop for 60 seconds to recover, and you can use it again. And the bigger this time is, the better it is for your firing if you are doing an assault build. Because missiles do hit quite hard, it's just that they are very slow on damage, and that's where they lose 90% of their effectiveness. Now, moving on, there is one more component to add in the damaging and assault velocities and perspective of the ship, and that is going to be the missile tracking unit. Now, where is this? Okay, here it is. Now, the missile tracking unit is also another one of these activation weapons. However, research does not affect it. So, here is what it does exactly for you. It activates for 10 seconds. It improves the explosion velocity bonus by 6%. Right? And the explosion radius is reduced by 6%. That means more damage at one go for every hit. Now, it also gives you a flight time bonus, meaning it increases your range a little bit by about 17 point, as you can see exactly in the percentage here. Now, when you activate it, the bonus multiplier is 500%. Now, sorry about that. Now, if you activate it in a combat situation, this 500% isn't going to be a small activation bonus for you. It is going to increase your range tremendously. And when I say tremendous, I mean tremendous. At 5 times your previous range, if you had 20 kilometers on a rapid missile, I'm saying for example, you will now have 40 kilometers for those 10 seconds. So you can keep yourself on a very large radius and fire for 10 seconds with the inclusion of the missile guidance system and the ballistic control. The two put together are going to give you a heavier hit. Now, that is going to be what you're going to get when you overload them. However, this only lasts for 10 seconds and then it is over. The next thing with this whole situation is the fact that you're increasing your damage by a massive amount. So your damage is going to be looking way bigger and way more effective on the whole. And improving it with both of these in conjunction is not going to give you a negative. It's actually a positive to your assault. Now, moving on from this, the next thing that you're going to put on is an afterburner. Now, the standard medium seat type afterburner to give you the best possible velocity. Remember, you've just added 55% to your standard velocity, adding 153% from the seat type afterburner is going to give you that little bit of an edge. Now, here comes the kicker in this whole fight. Considering that you can keep yourself at a larger range, however, you are going to be wanting to stay more close for the higher damage weapons. Here, everything really gets difficult to decide. With your extreme velocity, you can tank a lot of damage. It basically gives you the resistance of a shield hardener. Now, what that means is you're going to take something like 5 and 6% damage with each hit, and your velocity is going to be upwards of 1,000 meters per second. So you are going to be traveling really fast in combat. Now, what you are going to want to do is choose between putting on a micro warp drive to get you away from combat to go out of the range of the fight, or putting on a shield booster. Now, when you equip the shield booster, here is the bonuses that it gives you. The shield booster will repair your shield very quickly. And this is where your last part of your build in your rigs is actually decided. If you are using the Higgs anchor, which is going to be the best for building these ships right now, your next option on that whole listing was possibly a warp core optimizer or energy gain. and both have just as big an impact on your overall decision. If you put the warp core optimizer at -2, you can escape warp disruption. Now, the catch to this whole situation is by equipping it, you're not going to regain enough capacitor in a quick enough time. So, here is the whole conundrum. If you choose more speed, you can't recover a shield, but you can escape from those situations because of the fact that you put on the warp core stabilizer. And if you put on a shield booster, you can recover your shield and you can sit close to the battle just for a few, maybe like 5 minutes to recover your full capacitor and get back into battle. That gives you the edge in combat. However, it isn't what you want to do. You don't want to be pulling yourself out of combat all the time. And either way, it isn't really the best gains. So, playing the full assault build with the missile class isn't as simple as putting the full assault on a laser class vessel. Remember, jumping up in range is a lot better than going right in and facing it head first. Now, this is just your low slot. There's another two slots to discuss on the ship, coming in with the mid slot. Now, in the mid slot, considering you have to choose between PvP and PvE, one of the best advantages you have is speed and inertia. So, using something like a stasis webifier in PvE is going to be your number one move. A neutralizer is going to help you a lot, and something like a NOS energy drain will help you recover some power to give you a little bit of extra time in battle. However, you could run a double NOS instead of a neutralizer. You could run a webifier and a disruptor if you're doing PvP, and your last slot will still be an energy drain. The whole idea is for you to be playing the most optimal build and being able to fight for as long as possible. Now, energy drain or the NOS is very important in the whole flow of the game. Now, I haven't opened any of them as yet, but I will open one right now, electronic warfare. So both of the objects that you are going to choose from here are quite expensive. And let me just open the Predator for you. Now, looking at it, it gives you 2 gem strength. So in PvP, this stops enemies from running away from you. As you can see, the 2 gem strength is enough to hold a vessel with -2 gem strength. No, it's enough to hold a vessel with -1 gem strength. So if a player is just playing an Aurora Warp Core Stabilizer, they can escape you. However, if there's more than one of you in the fleet that is attacking, with 2 of these activated, they're not going to be able to get away from you. And above this, you can include the stasis webifier. Slowing an enemy removes any bit of resistance they have from speed. Just like your speed is going to be upwards of 1,000 meters per second, dropping you by 50% will mean they can get rid of you quite quickly. So keeping your range is also going to be important in the status of your battle. Now, moving on, the next thing to think about is your weapon. Now, as I said, in missile launches, you have to drop your range to improve your damage. So let me just close these. Okay, now all of this is from the point of view of the cruisers. As I said, it is where I'm focusing 90% of my research. Okay, I couldn't close that. Now, let's get into the rapid missile launches. These are by far one of the best options in terms of gameplay. And as I said, you don't want to get too close to the combat and you don't want to be too far out of the combat while fighting. Now, as you can see, its standard damage is 64.86. Now, at 64.86 and a firing time of 5 seconds, if you have a reload time, did something come into the game? No, this used to fire a lot faster. What in the world is going on? Okay, so something is coming in. I didn't see reload times on them before. Activation time is 6.24 seconds. So reducing this time with those boosts from the ballistic control and the missile launcher is going to improve the amount of fire that you're going to be using. Now, what does this mean for your overall gameplay? Now, reducing the time on this weapon means you can deal this massive damage twice as fast. Now, as you saw with the missile launcher, it launches once every 10 seconds. Now, the difference between them is quite a difference in damage. Let me just go back into it and show you. As you remember, it's 64 and this is 108. And the activation time is doubled. So if you double that value, you find that the rapid missile launcher is far better. And below that is the torpedo launchers. Let me just go look at its damage. It's 71 at 6. It's 140 DPS per second. However, there is a massive catch with this weapon. Its range. Its range is only 9 meters. And what this means for you is you are going to be firing at a very, very close range. With this close range of the weapon, it gives you that extra damage, but it also means you're in that risk of being webified and pulled out of your tanking ability. So you need to be considering pulling back a little bit on the range. Now, straight up, you know that some vessels give you a boost in range, including the Navy Caracal issue. So this will increase you slightly. It only increases it to about 12 kilometers. And that still isn't enough to escape a Weber fire because Weber fires can be effective for up to 13 kilometers and up to 20 kilometers on players. So you need to be double thinking about this. And with the ballistic control, it might be able to get you just outside of range, but 1 second's mistake is going to cost you. Now, with all of these, the range is the number one dealing factor. This one goes all the way to 18.75. With the bonus from the ship, it allows me to fire from 27 kilometers out. Now, there is quite a big bonus in the total range of the weapon. At 27 kilometers, I can really do a lot of damage without having to get too close. Now, as I said, these are quite good in terms of range. At 27, I'm out of the range of a Weber fire. However, I can't use a Weber fire against an enemy. It also means that I can't use that one footing. And at 25 kilometers, I can use the Warp Disruptor. And the Warp Disruptor range does increase with research, so everything is going to affect you overall. Now, thinking about this, you are now going to be thinking about whether or not you should be running missile launchers. And the long range missile launcher is not good for the assault build. You need that extra DPS. Are torpedo launchers better than rapids? Well, the answer is no, because you get that slight range where you can stay in the battle a little longer, and it's not really dropping you off by a massive number of damage. You're literally gaining 20 damage per. You're gaining 20 damage in your overall. Okay, not gaining 10. You're not gaining 20. You're gaining 10 damage every 6 seconds over your missile launcher. You are losing 10 damage every 6 seconds to your torpedo launcher. Your torpedo launcher can operate very close, however, it has the risk of being webified. In PvE, it is going to be a detriment to you. In PvP, it's going to be dangerous, so it isn't really the best to play. However, playing the rapids is always going to be a better option because they generally have that hard hitting nature, and because of the extreme range mobility for that hard hit, it gives you the best range for the damage that you want to be doing. And considering activating it multiple times per second, you're going to be doing upwards of 70 damage per second with the bonuses from the ship. You're going to be doing at least upwards of 80 when you include the bonuses from your low slots plus your research in weapons, and that is where you're going to be sitting with your weapon damage. Now, the next thing for you to consider is absolutely whether or not you're going to be activating all the time on those two attachments to your ship. Now, here is the thing. This ship can activate and stay activated for up to 4 seconds not 4 seconds, for up to 4 minutes in combat if you're at the right range. So if you are dropping into that very close range to use a Norse to gain some power, remember anything that neutralizes you is going to totally ruin your strategy. Anything that webifies you is going to cost you massively in damage. You're not going to be able to recover because of speed, and that is going to be a real heavy loss to you overall. So thinking about all of this, the rapid is the best option in terms of weapons. If you don't mind playing that fast, heavy hitting build for 10-second destruction, in other words, if you know that it takes you 18 hits to destroy elite in one of the story missions, you decide you're going to activate this the moment their extended drops. Remember, you have 60 seconds. You jump in as close as possible and you let drop with a rapid missile launcher. You're going to do sufficient damage to take down the shield. However, that ballistics control lasts 20 seconds, so that's 20 hits. It takes me on average 18 hits to strip away both the shield and armor. Then it's going to be 2 more hits into the hull of the ship, and then I'm going to return to regular firing. And after that complete total time, maybe at around something like the, let's see, the fifth or sixth second, the armor regen, the shield the sorry, the armor extender or the shield extender might kick in at my last hit. So I just have to consider all of that into the combat. Now, considering that entire time of fighting, that's about 1 minute portion of battle. I need to consider how much of damage I'm going to take to my shield. If they're running webifiers or if you get webified, you need to think about how much of damage you're going to take. Now, I definitely do recommend rapid missile launchers. They can work for both shield builds and they can work for assault builds, and they are the best overall weapon. Now, last but not least in this entire build is going to be the addition of a drone. Now, a drone is good for PvE, and in PvP, you can use it as a distraction for someone to just take it out to stop you from damaging them. Considering your class of ship, running a thermal like a Vesper medium is going to be one of the best drones to run in this vessel. Now, because of its overall good damaging against all parts of the ship, it matches up with the missile launchers. However, improving your shield takedown for shield tanks or your armor takedown for armor tank mission encounters is a good idea. So keeping 3 or 4 medium class drones on you is a good idea for long term gameplay. Now I have gone through all of this, and this is going to be my assault build for the Caracal issue. Now, in terms of research, where did you need to be? Advanced command, advanced engineering. That means everything before it also has to be completed. Level 5, level 5. Advanced defense. You need that defense on the ship to be able to play up close. You're going to need shield operation because you're going to take a lot of damage due to your radius. You're still within the range of a lot of weapons, and most weapons are going to hit you regardless of how well you're fighting. You are going to be able to rip through ships quite quickly. That is the one advantage you have. The next thing that you're going to need in terms of research is going to be afterburner research. Now, shield operation and afterburner research help you with keeping yourself safe and allow you to extend your battle time. They are not the most critical part of this build. The most critical part of this build is where I'm about to go. Expert medium missiles and expert upgrade medium missiles. Now, this is at the end of T7 where this build will come into play, and this is what you're going to need. Now, there was a rumor, I'm not 100% sure, of the addition of what they called ammo. Now, if ammo is coming into the game, that 35 seconds to reload means every 35 seconds your ship is going to need a reload timer. It's going to make your ability to fire and attack a little bit slower. It's going to slow down your weapon damaging. Now, I'm not sure if this is coming up, but if it is coming up, it is a negative. It basically works in the same aspect as what was this here? As the lasers draining the capacitor. So you always need to think about having a good ammo storage and how much of ammo your ship is going to need in each battle. So all of this is going to have to come into play with the next part of the game. Now the ammo on the vessel might be a slot, so it might take up one of the slots. You might have to sacrifice your missile guidance for an ammo slot, or you might have to sacrifice your missile guidance for any other fitting in terms of using it in combat. Remember, if you know your enemy has warp disruptors, just as a precaution, you can throw in a warp stabilizer and reduce your damage slightly. Remember, that's 500% that you've reduced for that 10 seconds. That 10 seconds can help you bust through a shield, could help you take down an elite. And that's everything that you need to know about your whole build when it comes to the assault build for the Caracal. Now, I haven't got into any nitty gritty details about going into any other ships. You are going to get some gameplay with me a little bit later today. I'm going to be doing some gameplay in Super Soft Drink, as I said in the start of the video. I'm going to be doing part 1, and then I will try and do a video on part 2. Now, taking on the elites in part 2 is a lot easier than the elites in part 1. In part 1, they use neutralizers, so they really cancel out shield builds. It is where an assault build will shine the most. And part 2, they really tanky, and it really would have helped to have a shield build against them in part 2, because I don't really struggle against them. I can sit out the whole fight without having to have to recover capacitor. But there are some times when I have made mistakes and taken damage onto my ships because of these builds. Now, with all of this being said, I hope to see you later on the next video. And if you do feel like supporting me, there is a link to my store, to my Teespring store in the description down below. So thank you all for watching. Have a good day.